In this video, you are introduced to the importance of families and how fundamental they are to the creation of an intelligent project. You are also introduced to the Family Editor interface and assigned categories to families. Families are fundamental parts of a Revit project. They are extensively used both for the 3D model elements as well as the 2D details and annotations typically used to generate drawings. The image shown in the below left is a typical Revit project. All the elements here are parametric families that add intelligence to the model. Each family has relationships with other model elements. All the families work together to form a cohesive, intelligent model that can be built and updated efficiently. The images shown on the right demonstrate that a family is much more than just a 3D element. Each family can have multiple representations in different views. For example, a door has a symbolic representation in plane, just showing the door swing, and another representation in an elevation view, perhaps just showing hinge positions. Each type of family can have relationships with other elements. For example, a door can be hosted into a wall, and the wall's base and top shape can be attached to a floor or a roof. Likewise, the window is hosted into a wall and can be constrained to the door's head height. These relationships, when used in a correct context, can increase productivity and the integrity of your Revit models. Revit has three types of families: system families, which include elements such as walls, floors and roofs; loadable families, which can include furniture, doors and windows; and in-place families, which are used for contextual modelling of project-specific details. System families are used to represent elements such as walls, ceilings, floors and stairs, and are typically created from multiple materials. For example, a cavity wall could have brick, insulation and blockwork, as well as different paint finishes. These layers could all be different thicknesses. System families are created within the project, but can be transferred to other projects using transfer project standards. Loadable families are the most common types of families found in projects. As its name suggests, these families are stored in libraries and can be loaded into projects as and when required. Loadable families can have many types defined within each family. For example, a door family can have several widths, different vision panel sizes, and hardware configurations. In-place families are components that you can create that are specific to a particular project. They are created in the context of your project, which enables you to reference existing model geometry. In the example below, kitchen base units are placed around a kitchen wall and the corner unit is cut around a column. The worktop has been created as an in-place family. This is unique to the project. Another example is to create a ball nose detail on the end of a wall. Again, this is unique to the current project. Go ahead and open up the file Introduction to Families. In this particular project, we have a very simple residential house, and the entire house structure is built out of different types of families. The families that we're using are loadable families and system families. All the families go to build up an intelligent, efficient and parametric building structure. Let's start by taking a look at the properties of some of these families and see how they interact and interplay with their surrounding environment. We'll begin by selecting this window. Notice as I select the window is also displayed in the elevation. In the Properties palette, we'll notice that the window's level is currently set to level 2. We can see that the sill height is set to 3 feet, and also the head height is set to 8 feet. This is of course measured from that level. If we select the smaller window over here, we'll notice that the alignment of the window in the vertical plane is perfect with the last window we just selected. The reason for that is that the head height is again set to 8 feet. Let's now rotate the 3D model round. And in this particular example, we can see here that we've applied a section box to the 3D model. We'll then select the floor. In the Properties palette, we'll also notice that the floor is also hosted to level 2. You'll notice sitting on the floor we have some furniture. This particular furniture is hosted onto the floor. This is a floor-based family. So of course, if the floor moves, that furniture will go ahead and move with it. So let's see what now happens if we change the level. So we've just identified that level 2 is controlling all of those elements. And I'm just going to change this in the 3D view. So we'll go ahead and select the level, and we'll change this from 10 feet to 11 feet. And what we should notice in the elevation view is that all of the windows have now moved in the context of level 2. We'll also notice that the floor's moved, and the furniture, because it's hosted to that floor, has also moved as well. So there, you've just seen an example of intelligent families. And of course, you'll notice how much easier it is to then make changes and edits to our model. Let's also look at another example with a wall. In the project browser, under floor plans, let's open up level 1. We'll zoom into level 1, and we can see here on the right hand side, we have this wall structure. Currently, the wall structure is 5 foot and 6 inches away from this door. Let's see what would happen if we now change that. Now, before we change it, we can clearly see here we have some shelving which is hosted onto the wall. We'll also see here that we have a piece of furniture, and this piece of furniture has a parameter set, moves with nearby elements. Okay, and you can see that that's checked. Another thing to note is the roof structure itself. The roof has been created in the context of the wall. So actually the roof shape in plan is linked to the wall. So therefore, if we select the wall, we'll go to the dimension here, and let's set this to perhaps 4 feet. As soon as we do this, we can see that all of these surrounding furniture elements and the wall hosted elements have now moved. We'll also notice that the roof structure has changed. If I temporarily undo and then redo, we can see those changes. One last example will be to the planting hosted onto the topography. You can see here that we have topography, and hosted on the topography, we have a number of planting elements. The planting elements will find their own level based on the topo surface. And again here you can also see that I have this railing which is representing a fence, and the vertical height of the fence has been automatically found by the topography. So I'm going to select this piece of planting here, I'll right mouse click, and on the context menu I'll select Create Similar. If I then place down some similar elements on the topo surface, these planting elements will find their own level based on the topo surface. So you've just seen how fundamental Revit families are to the creation of a project. It's also critical to make sure that we build our families correctly with the correct categories so that they respond as appropriate in a project. Let's now take a look at that family editing environment. We'll first close down our current project. To do this, select the File ribbon and select Close. We're then presented with the Save File dialog. In this example, we'll select No. And on the Revit home screen, let's select New Family. We're then presented with the New Family dialog box, and here we can select our Revit family template file. Notice that the file extension is .rft. In this example, we'll go ahead and select Generic Model. We'll then select Open. We are now looking at the Revit family editing environment, and notice on the ribbon we now have Create, Insert, Annotate, and so on. For example, on the Create ribbon, you can see that we have tools here relevant to the solid modeling of family elements. In our project browser, you can see that we have tools here to allow us to switch between a floor plan, a 3D view, and relevant elevations. And in the Properties palette, you can then see that we have properties relating to currently the active view. Notice also in the Properties palette, we are currently working with a generic model. What we'll now do is ensure that we are going to set the correct category. In this case, it will be furniture. On the Create ribbon, let's go ahead and select Family Category and Parameters. And in the Family Category and Parameters dialog box, you can see currently we have generic models. Now it's fundamental to make sure that we create the correct category because, as you've just seen, this will affect how the family interplays with other family elements and also how it is scheduled. In this case, we'll select Furniture, we'll click OK, and you can now see in the Properties palette Our family category is now furniture.